Hey friends, welcome back to the crash course on audio production. This is part 2 of 4, and today I'm going to be going over the basics of the digital audio workstation. I'm personally an Ableton Live user. However, don't be discouraged if you're using a different DAW or you're considering a different DAW, because I'm going to be covering the basic functions that every DAW will have rather than getting Ableton specific. So the very first thing I'm going to mention is that there are 2 separate views within your DAW. The first one, and the one that you see me in right now, is called the arrangement view. And this will display how your music is structured within a timeline. This view is likely where you will spend your time when creating the music, and it also allows you to do some editing. The other view is called the mixer view, and as the name implies, this is where you would mix the song. This is where you'll find all of your channel faders to adjust the volume, and this is also likely where you would easily access all of your different effects that you've applied to your channels. So in theory, arrangement view is where you would spend the majority of your time in the creative stage, meaning creating or recording the musical elements of your song. And the mixer view is where you will spend the majority of your time when the creative and recording process is over and the mixing process begins. So if you're brand new to this, a basic but important thing to know is that each instrument or vocal in your song needs to have its own independent channel. And the reasoning kind of goes back to the concept we talked about in the first video, balancing out the audio spectrum. Each element of a song belongs in a certain range within the audio spectrum, and by having an independent channel for each element, it helps us lay that out more easily. Plus, it helps us stay more organized, and perhaps most important, it helps us easily balance out the volume of the tracks in the mixing process. So there are really more reasons to do this than to not do it. But with that said, there are 2 different types of channels that you can use: audio and MIDI channels. Okay, so audio channels are pretty basic. This is the type of channel you would use to record your vocals or recording an instrument through your audio interface. So if you're recording yourself playing the guitar into your audio interface, an audio channel is what you would use to record that. Or if you're dropping a sample that's in an audio file like an MP3 or WAV, this is the type of channel you would use as well. So pretty much with audio channels, what you record is what you get as far as the performance goes. And as seen here, this is an audio channel that I recorded some audio into, and you get a nice little audio wave. But a MIDI channel has a lot more flexibility. MIDI is kind of like a digital communication system. When you create something musically using MIDI, it stores information pertaining to how you performed, and this also allows you to later edit that performance. So, whereas an audio file looks like this, a MIDI file would look like this. And let me just click into here and show you this view. So you can use these channels either in the DAW itself, you can, like draw in notes and stuff like that, or you can have a MIDI controller, for instance, like a keyboard that has MIDI capability. You would perform the song on your keyboard and all of the information would be written in here as you're performing. So obviously MIDI is a lot more adjustable than standard audio files are. If I wanted to, I could move a certain note up or down to a different note that I wanted it to play. I can trim it down or make it longer. And I can also even adjust the velocity, or in other words, how hard I want that note to attack. So for instance, if I played this a little bit too aggressively, I would simply just find the notes I want to tame down a little bit, grab this bar and just bring it down a little bit. So it's pretty cool. You got a lot of editing capabilities with MIDI. So when you're using MIDI, you're pretty much picking from a selection of instruments within your software to perform with. And the cool thing is, if you wanted to change from one instrument to another, all you would have to do is drag it onto the MIDI channel, and nothing else is going to change other than what sound is being played. All of the information that you have written down here is going to stay exactly the same. So with each channel, there is a meter, and these meters will display the decibel measurement of the audio source on the channel. You will use this meter in both the recording and mixing process to monitor your volumes. It's important to remember to avoid crossing the 0 dB mark, because in digital audio, this is where clipping results, which causes nasty distortion to your audio. With your meter, there will also be a peak level indicator, which is right here in Ableton. And this tells you where the audio reached at its highest point. As a suggestion, I would say to try to keep your peak level somewhere around the -3 or -2 dB range for added safety. Each channel also has a volume fader, as this one does right here, and this is the main tool in the mixing process. This is what you'll use to balance out the volume of all of your channels into a coherent listening experience. Each channel also has a panning knob like this one here, and basically panning allows you to place your track into a certain spot for it to be heard. So let me just give you an example of what I mean so you can hear it for yourselves. But before I do this, you're only going to notice what I'm doing if you're listening on a pair of stereo speakers or if you're wearing headphones. So if you're watching on a phone, you won't be able to tell what's happening. So if that's you, just take the time to pause this real quick and find a pair of headphones to use. So let's go ahead and do this. So as you can hear, panning allows me to have my audio only play from the left side, only play from the right side, or somewhere more creative like where I have it right now. This can be a helpful tool to make certain sounds stick out in a song where a lot of other sounds are fighting for your attention. So as I'm sure you're starting to pick up, mixing is all about balancing things out, and panning is one of the many things that can help us to balance out our music. So more basic stuff down here, you have your on-off switch down here. Below that, you have your solo button, which as you saw me use earlier, when engaged, this will play the track by itself. And below this, you have your record button, which is what you would click to engage this specific channel whenever you want to record audio on that channel. And then from here, you would go up to click this record button whenever you were ready to start recording. So what was that clicking noise we just heard? That would be the metronome. So the metronome is a click that is designed to keep you in rhythm to the song's tempo. You usually hear a count for one measure before you actually begin to record, as you just heard. However, in this section, you can adjust this. As you can see here, I could change it to count 2 bars before I begin to record. I could do it 4, 8, or none if I wanted to. I don't suggest that, but it's an option apparently. And I also do have the option to continue to hear the metronome while I'm recording, and I do that by simply clicking on the metronome button, seeing it highlighted, and that's how I know that I'm going to continue to hear the metronome while I'm recording. Okay, and the metronome is directly associated with the BPM, which stands for beats per minute, and you can see that displayed right here. I can change the BPM of the song in 2 different ways. I can use this box to type in the number that I want, so for instance, it's 70 already, so we'll just keep it that way. Typed in 70, press enter. So if you know the specific BPM you're looking for, that's a quick way to do it. Or I can use this tap feature to the left of it if I feel like I know what I want the rhythm to feel like, but I'm not really sure what the number is. So much like when you're tapping your foot along to the song, you might not know what the BPM number is, but you know the rhythm because you can feel it. So in the same way that you're tapping your foot along to a song, you just click your mouse as if you were tapping your foot to a song. You do the same way on the tap feature, and you'd click it 4 times, and that will give you the BPM you're looking for. Assuming, of course, you are on the 4/4 time signature. What's the time signature? Well, that is displayed right here, and as you see, this song is indeed in 4/4 time. And I'm not going to go too deep into this because 4/4 is the most common time signature anyway, and that's most likely what your DAW is already set to. But basically that means that there is 4 beats per measure. But this isn't a music theory course, this is a audio production course, so if you do need further explanation on that, just use the good old-fashioned Google search time signature, and I'm sure you'll be able to find some very helpful information in helping you understand that better. Last thing I want to mention is that DAWs come preloaded with stock instruments that you can use within your music projects, as well as effects like EQ, compression, and reverb, stuff like that. And in Ableton, it's located all right here, instruments, audio effects, a plethora of things. And as you continue in your music production, you'll discover that there are a lot of audio companies that have their own plugins, or basically their own audio effects that you can purchase and use within your DAW. However, I would encourage you to ignore all of them when you are new, simply because learning your DAW is a big enough task as it is. And not only that, but all that you truly need is available within your DAW already anyway. I'm not against plugins by any means. I have a few of them myself, and I've even reviewed a couple of them on my channel. But I'm just saying that it's important to first learn the fundamentals before throwing more money at things that you don't really need to buy anyway. So that's the lesson for today, but if you are interested in getting started in your music production as soon as possible, or if you're looking for audio gear recommendations and you have a budget to stick to, I want to give you a free gift. On my website, prodigycreationsnow.com, I have a free ebook for you called The Simple Guide to Recording Music Now in 5 Steps or Less. And this ebook complements this series really well, because in these videos I'm giving you the fundamental audio concepts you need to understand when getting started, and this free ebook is going to give you a list of the essential tools you will need in order to make your recordings happen. And as an added bonus, I also have different audio gear recommendations based on your budget, anywhere from $50 to $1,500. So visit prodigycreationsnow.com today to claim your free ebook. There will be a button that says Get the Free Guide, and all you have to do is enter in your email address, and within minutes, you will be sent a copy of your free ebook. With that, this is CJ with Prodigy Creations. Thank you for going through this series with me so far, and I will see you in the next lesson.